great to see a room filled with people who are genuinely concerned about our future and are thinking about the way that technology is changing our lives. And as we think about technology, we have to realize that we've expected technology to change the way we live, the way we learn, we work, we play. And indeed, technology, whether it's AI, the Internet of Things, the mobile devices and the banks that we keep in our pockets, they've pervaded our lives, our homes, our offices, our highest levels of government. And alongside all of these new technologies that enable great new experiences, we've set aside some of our thinking around privacy and security, as we've heard over the course of today. Now, despite this, the attack surface is constantly growing, as is the world's expenditures on cybersecurity. There's ever-growing number of companies being funded to try to fix cybersecurity as a point solution. The global spend on cybersecurity is estimated to be about $150 billion this year. It's growing 10% per year over the next 5 years to reach $250 billion. 10% of that, $15 billion, is spent by the US government on cybersecurity. And the Bank of America has gone on record saying that their budget for cybersecurity is unlimited. And so thinking about all of the money that's pouring in, both in the form of investment and the form of expenditures, I'd like you to raise your hand if you think that we've solved the cybersecurity problem. I didn't think so. And this is because cybersecurity has a lot of, as an industry, has a lot of players competing against each other, trying to solve security after the fact. It's sold as an insurance product. You know, there is a particular amount of risk. Here's the probability, here's the outcome. My solution reduces the risk by this probability, and so it costs this much. And cybersecurity companies sell their products by using fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Now, I could do the same thing here and stand up on this stage and go through all of the different exploits and hacks and botnets and the things that we've suffered over the past few years as technology has pervaded our world. But I'm not going to do that because, as we've heard, we can't do things the same ways. Because those solutions, our way of thinking, our way of interacting, aren't sufficient. We have to revolutionize our way of thinking and think about things through a systematic approach to deal with systemic problems. We have to change the way that companies interact with each other to create a new economy. And the way that we propose to do that is through deep defense. Now, deep defense rests on these three pillars: artificial intelligence, distributed computing, and economic incentives. Artificial intelligence allows us to detect threats at much greater scale because, as we've heard, humans aren't always as good at detecting threats or detecting variations, and they don't scale very well. There's only so much people can do. Similarly, centralized computing infrastructure is subject to the same kind of risks that we've experienced until now. So the denial of service attack against the domain name system that brought down the internet a few years ago in 2016 has a major impact, as does the accidental line of code that was introduced into Amazon's infrastructure that brought it down for quite a number of services last year. And so having a distributed computing environment allows us to address scalability, address resiliency against denial of service attacks, and finally, economic incentives allows us to align all of the players within cybersecurity. So who are those players? Well, they're the integration partners of the developers who decide that they want to have more secure devices. And the reason they haven't been able to do that until now was really highlighted by McKinsey and the Global Semiconductor Alliance, who conducted a very wide-ranging survey of device manufacturers to understand why cybersecurity failed so significantly. And it basically amounted to two main problems: technology and people. Technologically, there are 700 different standards or more competing to own the Internet of Things universe. And that leads to a lot of fragmentation, and there is no single security standard. And people are generally unaware of the security implications of their technology choices. And if they are aware, they're often willing to trade security and privacy in exchange for services and convenience. And so how do we affect people's behaviors and allow them to think of security not as a commodity that can be added after the fact to mitigate risks, but something that's built in by design? And so by developing this process, what we've done is allowed for every device to pass a gamified security audit. We've allowed a competition among data scientists to build the best AI so that each device is protected. We have allowed end users to share their non-personal data that has real security value and share in that reward, and a distributed grid computing infrastructure that will reach massive scalability. And we're already building this. We've got our alpha prototype. I've got it in my pocket right now, protecting my Android device. And we're working with integration partners to introduce threat detection into mobile applications so that their end users are secure and bring them into our Armor token economy. And our ultimate vision is to build a security mesh, a lattice that will enable any device to be secured by other devices, all working to create a powerful global network where we can all adopt technology in a safe and secure way. And so I invite you all to be defenders. If you're an investor, invest intelligently into technologies that enhance security and privacy. If you're developers, develop in a secure way by design. And as we progress into the future, I invite you all to be defenders and join us in helping to create a world that is truly more secure. Thank you.